I went to surprise my wife in Dubai. What I saw changed everything. I stayed silent. She never knew I was there until it was too late. My name is Leon. I met Anna Stone during our university days in South Africa, back in 2015. We were young, focused, and full of plans for the future. What started as a simple friendship quickly became something deeper. 2 years later, we got married. Right after graduation, I secured a great job. Around the same time, she also landed a well-paying position. It felt like everything in our lives was falling perfectly into place. We built our life step by step. We supported each other. We trusted each other. And the love we shared felt real, strong, unbreakable. At least, that's what I believed. I stood by the door and watched her for a while. There was something different about her that morning. Not just excitement. It was something stronger, something focused. Like she already knew her life was about to change in a big way. "You're going to do great," I said. She looked up, smiled, and said, "I know." It wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. I walked over and helped zip her suitcase. "Ready?" She took a small breath, looked around the room for a second, then nodded. "Ready." The drive to the airport was calm. The city was just waking up. Roads were quiet, and the air felt fresh. She talked the whole way about meetings, new people, big chances. I listened, nodded, asked small questions. Mostly, I just felt proud. At the airport, she hugged me tightly. "I'll miss you," she said. "I'll miss you too," I replied. And I meant it more than anything. She walked away, then turned once and waved. I waved back. That moment stayed with me. I didn't know it would be one of the last simple moments we would share. The house felt different that night. Not empty, just quieter. I walked into the bedroom and noticed small things. Her side of the bed still neat. Her perfume faint in the air. Her charger left plugged into the wall. It felt like she had just stepped out, not left the city. I sat on the edge of the bed for a while, scrolling through my phone without really seeing anything. Then it rang. Her name. I answered right away. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she replied, her voice light and happy. "Did I wake you?" I smiled. "No. How's home?" she asked. "Quiet." She laughed softly. "I miss you. I miss you too." We talked about her first day. Meetings, introductions, long hours. She sounded excited, more alive than usual. That made me happy. 2 days later, she called again. This time, her voice carried even more energy. "I've been selected for another trip," she said. "Dubai." I sat up slightly. "That was fast." "I told you," she said. "Things are moving." I smiled. "That's amazing." What she didn't know was that I had a meeting scheduled in Dubai too. Same week, same hotel. After the call, I sat there thinking. I almost told her. Almost. But then I smiled. A surprise. Something simple. Something good. That night, I imagined knocking on her door. I imagined her face when she saw me. I had no idea I was the one walking into a surprise. The next morning, I started preparing for my trip. I packed slowly, more carefully than usual, folding each shirt neatly, checking my documents twice, making sure everything was in place. It gave me something to focus on, something normal. I booked my flight for the next day, late enough to arrive after she had settled in, early enough to still surprise her. The plan felt perfect, simple, clean, but somewhere deep inside, there was a strange feeling. Not fear, not doubt, just something. I ignored it, because trust doesn't question without reason. Before leaving, I walked through the house one last time. Everything was still, quiet. Her absence had settled into the space now. I paused at the bedroom door, looked inside, then turned away. At the airport, everything felt routine. Check-in, security, waiting. On the plane, I looked out the window as the city lights faded below. Everything looked calm from above. Ordered, simple. I closed my eyes and imagined her again. Her smile, her voice, her reaction. That thought stayed with me all the way to Dubai. Dubai felt different the moment I arrived. The air was warmer. The lights were brighter. Everything moved faster. I took a taxi to the hotel, watching the city pass by in silence. Tall buildings, bright signs, endless motion. It felt alive. At the hotel, everything was calm, polished, controlled. I checked in like any other guest. Then I said, casually, "My wife checked in yesterday. Same surname." The receptionist typed for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, she is here." Something about hearing that made my heart beat faster. This was real. I went to my room and placed my bag down, looked around, then walked to the mirror. "This will be perfect," I said quietly. I washed my face, fixed my shirt, and stepped out. The elevator felt slower than usual, each number lighting up one by one. When it reached the 7th floor, the doors opened. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. Soft lights lined the walls. My steps felt louder than they should have. Still, I walked forward, toward her room, toward what I believed would be a perfect moment. I walked slowly, checking the room numbers. 706, 707, 708. Closer. My heart was beating faster now. Then I stopped. A door opened. A man stepped out. He looked calm, confident, like he belonged there. I frowned slightly. Maybe I had the wrong room. Then the door opened again, and she stepped out. My wife. For a moment, my mind didn't react. It just watched. She wore a white robe. Her hair was loose. Her face was calm, relaxed, comfortable, not surprised, not confused. She didn't look like someone caught in a moment. She looked like she was exactly where she wanted to be. Then she reached for him. They hugged, not quickly, not awkwardly, naturally. And then they kissed. Everything inside me stopped. The man walked away into another room across the hall. She stood there for a second, then went back inside. The door closed, softly. I didn't move. I couldn't. In that moment, my world didn't break loudly. It went completely silent. I don't remember how I got back to my room. I only remember the door closing behind me. Soft, quiet, final. I stood there for a few seconds, staring at nothing. Then I walked slowly to the bed and sat down. My hands were shaking, but I didn't feel it fully. It was like my body was reacting before my mind could catch up. The scene replayed again and again. The robe, the way she stood, the hug, the kiss. It didn't look like a mistake. It didn't look like confusion. It looked normal. That was the part that stayed with me the most. I stood up and walked to the bathroom, turned on the cold water, let it run over my face again and again. But nothing changed. The feeling didn't go away. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to every small sound in the room, the air system, distant doors closing, footsteps in the hallway. My phone stayed beside me, silent. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want it to ring. The next morning, my phone rang. Her name appeared on the screen. I stared at it for a moment longer than usual. Then I answered. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." "I miss you," she said. I closed my eyes for a second. "I miss you too." "I wish you were here," she added. I almost smiled. I was there, in the same building, just a few floors away. but I said nothing. We spoke like everything was normal. She told me about her meetings, the people she met, how busy everything was. I listened carefully. Every word, every pause, every small detail. She laughed at something, and I forced myself to laugh too. When the call ended, I placed the phone down slowly. That was when something became clear. The pain wasn't just about what I saw. It was about how easily she could speak to me like nothing had happened, like I didn't exist just a few floors below her truth. I went to my meeting that morning. Same hotel, different floor. The room was filled with people talking, presenting, discussing plans. I sat there, listened, nodded when needed, but my mind wasn't there. Every now and then, a single thought would return. 7th floor, that hallway, that moment. During a short break, I stepped outside. I didn't plan to. I just moved. My feet carried me without thinking, down the corridor, toward the restaurant. Then I saw her. She was sitting at a table with him, the same man. They were smiling, laughing, talking like they had known each other for years. She leaned slightly forward, touched his hand. He didn't pull away. He smiled. I stood far enough not to be noticed. I pulled my cap down slightly and watched, not as her husband, but as someone seeing the truth clearly for the first time. They stayed there for a while, talking, relaxed, comfortable. Nothing about them felt new. It felt established. That told me more than anything else. After some time, they stood up, together, and walked toward a conference room. I followed, keeping my distance. Slow steps, quiet. I stayed behind corners, near walls, never too close. I didn't want to be seen, but I needed to know. Hours passed. I went back to my own meeting, but my focus was gone. Every time I checked the time, it felt slower, heavier. At exactly 4:30 p.m., my meeting ended. I walked out immediately, back toward the hallway I had seen earlier, and waited. People began leaving the conference room, one by one, talking, laughing, discussing plans. Then slowly, the hallway emptied. Silence returned. A few minutes later, she walked out. With him, they were holding hands, like it was normal, like it was expected. They looked around briefly, then started walking toward his room. I followed again, careful, quiet. They entered. The door closed. I stopped outside, still, silent. Then I heard it. Not clearly, but enough, more than enough. I leaned against the wall, closed my eyes, and let the truth settle fully. No doubt, no confusion, just certainty. Time moved slowly after that. I took out my phone. I don't know why. Maybe to make it real. Maybe to remind myself later that I didn't imagine it. I recorded. My hands were steady now, not shaking anymore. Minutes passed. Then silence. The door opened. She stepped out, fixing her hair. Calm, composed. She said something softly. I need to go shower. Call my husband. Sleep. She smiled, like nothing had happened. I stood hidden behind the corner, watching, listening. Then she walked away. I stayed there for a few more seconds, then turned and walked back to my room. Slowly, back in my room, I sat on the edge of the bed. The recording was still open on my phone. I played it once, then stopped. That was enough. My phone rang. Her name again. I let it ring, then sent a message. Busy right now. She replied quickly. Okay, I miss you. I stared at the message. For a long time, that night, I cried. Not loudly, not in anger, just quietly. Tears that came without control. For the first time in my life, I felt completely broken. But somewhere inside that pain, something else started forming. Something calm, something controlled. I would not react. I would not lose control. I would understand everything. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror. My face looked the same, but I wasn't. My eyes were tired, but my mind was clear. No anger, no confusion, just focus. I started paying attention to everything. Her calls, her messages, her timing, her movements. Every detail mattered now. I noticed how often she stepped out, how long she stayed, what she said before and after. I also started asking quiet questions during my meetings about people, about positions, about names. That's when I found out who he was. A senior figure, influential, respected. That made things clearer. This wasn't random. This was planned. For the rest of the trip, I acted normal, perfectly normal. I called her. I laughed. I listened. I asked about her day. She told me stories, details, moments. And behind every word, I saw the truth she wasn't saying. I didn't interrupt. I didn't question. I let her speak, because now, every word she gave me was something I could compare, something I could place, something I could understand. When my trip ended, I packed my bag quietly. No rush, no emotion, just movement. Before leaving the room, I looked around once. That place had changed everything, but I didn't feel anger anymore, just clarity. When I returned home, she was already there. She opened the door with a smile, warm, familiar, like nothing had happened. I hugged her, and for a second, I wondered how something could feel so normal and so distant at the same time. "How was your trip?" I asked. "Busy," she said. "But good." I nodded. "Same here." We sat down, and she started talking about meetings, people, experiences. She spoke easily, comfortably, confidently, and I listened. Every word, every detail, because now I knew the truth behind her story, and the more she spoke, the clearer everything became. The days after we returned home felt normal on the surface. We woke up at the same time, ate at the same table, spoke about the same daily things. To anyone watching, nothing had changed, but everything had. I moved carefully now, not emotionally. Strategically, I began collecting everything. Call logs, message patterns, dates, times. I didn't rush. I didn't make mistakes. Every piece had to fit. Every detail had to be clear. At night, I would sit quietly with my phone, reviewing what I had already recorded in Dubai, matching it with what she told me later. Her stories didn't match the timeline, not perfectly. Small gaps, small lies, but enough. I also researched the man, his role, his position, his reputation. He had influence, power, which made the situation even more serious. This wasn't just betrayal. This was calculated. And I needed to be just as careful. I spoke to a legal expert, calmly, without emotion, just facts, just questions. By the end of that meeting, I understood everything clearly. What I could do, what I should do, and what would come next. Once I understood my position, everything became simpler. Not easier, but clearer. I stopped thinking about emotions, stopped asking why, because the answer didn't matter anymore. The truth was already in front of me. Instead, I focused on control. I organized everything. Recordings, screenshots, timelines, even small details like call durations and message gaps. Each one supported the other. There were no holes, no confusion, just one clear story. And it was not the story she had been telling me. At home, I continued acting normal. We spoke, we ate together, we even laughed. But now, every moment felt different, like I was watching a scene instead of living in it. She didn't notice. She couldn't, because I didn't change my behavior. That was the key. No reaction, no suspicion, just calm. That calm gave me time, and time gave me control. I chose the timing carefully. Not too soon, not too late. I needed everything ready, clear, complete, final. One evening, I told her, "Let's go out for dinner." She smiled immediately. "Romantic?" she asked. I nodded. Yes, she seemed happy, relaxed, comfortable. That told me something important. She didn't suspect anything, not even a little. That night, she got ready slowly, choosing her outfit carefully, checking herself in the mirror more than once. I watched quietly. Every detail felt sharper now, more defined. We drove to the restaurant in silence. Not awkward, just calm, like any normal evening. But I knew this was not normal. This was the end. The restaurant was quiet. Soft lights, low music, people speaking in calm voices around us. We sat across from each other. She smiled. "This is nice," she said. I nodded. For a moment, I just looked at her. The same face I had known for years. The same voice, the same expressions. But something had changed. Or maybe I had finally seen what was always there. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yes," I said. I reached into my pocket, took out my phone, placed it gently on the table. She didn't react. Not yet. I pressed play. The sound filled the space between us. At first, she didn't understand. Her expression stayed normal. Then, slowly, it changed. Her smile faded. Her eyes narrowed slightly, then widened. Recognition. Fear. Silence followed. Heavy, sharp, unavoidable. She froze. Her hands stopped moving. Her breathing changed. I said nothing. I just watched. When the recording ended, the silence remained. She opened her mouth to speak. I raised my hand slightly. No lies. Her lips closed. Slowly, her eyes dropped. For the first time since I had known her, she had nothing to say. "I saw everything," I said calmly. "Myself." She didn't look up. Her shoulders dropped, like something inside her had given up. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Her voice was weak, uncertain. I shook my head. "This isn't about sorry." And it wasn't. Sorry doesn't change truth. Sorry doesn't erase choices. Sorry doesn't rebuild what was never protected. She started crying, quietly, not loudly, not dramatically, but I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just clarity. That was the part I didn't expect. That night, I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I didn't ask questions. There was nothing left to ask. "I'm done," I said. Simple, clear, final. She cried more, tried to explain, tried to justify, but the words didn't matter anymore. I had already seen everything, heard everything, understood everything. There was no confusion left, only decision. I stood up, placed money on the table, and walked out. She didn't follow, not immediately. Maybe she understood. Or maybe she had nothing left to say. The process began the next day. Legal, structured, calm. There was no drama, no shouting, no public scenes. Just steps, clear steps. Each one moving forward. Everything I had prepared made it easier, faster, stronger. The truth supported me. And truth doesn't need noise. The man was also exposed, not through anger, not through revenge, but through facts, evidence, clarity. And when truth is presented clearly, it speaks louder than anything else. Months passed. Life changed slowly, but steadily. At first, it felt quiet, different, but not empty. I focused on myself, my work, my health, my routine. I rebuilt everything step by step, not rushing, not forcing anything, just moving forward. I learned something important during that time. Strength doesn't come from reacting. It comes from control, from choosing not to break, from choosing to move forward instead of staying in pain. One day, I received a message from her. I miss you. I read it once, then again. Then I put my phone down. No reply. No hesitation. Some things don't need answers. Months later, I saw her again, by chance, on a quiet street. She looked different. Not broken, but quieter, softer, like life had slowed her down. She saw me, hesitated, then walked closer. "Can we talk?" she asked. I nodded. We stood there for a moment. No tension, no anger, just silence. She tried to speak, but stopped. I looked at her, calm, clear. "You didn't lose me that night," I said. She looked up, confused. "You lost me the moment you believed I wouldn't find out." She didn't respond, because she understood. I gave a small nod, then turned and walked away, not angry, not broken, not lost, just free, and for the first time in a long time, at peace. I used to believe love was built on trust alone, that if you gave someone your honesty, your time, your loyalty, it would be enough to protect what you had. I was wrong. Love doesn't fail in one moment. It fades in small choices, in quiet lies, in the belief that the other person will never see the truth. What hurt the most wasn't what I saw that night. It wasn't the hallway. It wasn't the door. It wasn't even them. It was the realization that everything I trusted had already been broken long before I arrived. And yet, I didn't lose control. I didn't become angry. I didn't chase revenge. I chose something harder. I chose silence. I chose patience. I chose clarity. Because real power isn't in reacting. It's in understanding. It's in knowing when something is over and having the strength to walk away without destroying yourself in the process. She thought I would never find out. She thought the truth could stay hidden. But the truth doesn't stay buried. It waits. And when it comes out, it doesn't ask for permission. Now, when I look back, I don't see loss. I see a lesson, a turning point, a moment that forced me to choose myself. And I did. Some endings don't break you. They free you. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away without saying a word.